Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for having me today. My name is Nav Gupta, aka Mr. Metaverse here. I am from Canada. I want to thank you all for having me here today. I'm going to be sharing my screen and starting our video presentation, and then I'll have questions and some demonstration at the very end. Thank you very much.
Welcome to our presentation on Chaarmi Worlds for Education. Today, we'll explore how the metaverse is transforming education for educators, institutions, and students alike. Chaarmi is a cutting-edge metaverse technology that's as versatile as it is user-friendly. It works seamlessly across platforms, including PC, Mac, and even MetaQuest VR, offering a truly magical experience. Even the most novice user can create stunning virtual worlds and immersive experiences that can be shared effortlessly via a simple web URL. You don't need to be a tech wizard to build your metaverse. With Chaarmi, anyone can create immersive worlds in just a few clicks. Imagine a virtual campus tour where potential students can visit your campus from anywhere in the world. With Chaarmi Worlds, you can expand your STEM programs to include the metaverse and future-ready technologies. Features like pre-recorded classes with live avatars, virtual field trips, concept visualizations, and simulations bring lessons to life.
All right, so thank you so much for that. That was our presentation there to give you guys a little bit of an overview. I'm ready to take questions and also give you a little bit of a taste of how our actual technology works here. We got a great question here. Do we own our own world within your worlds? The beauty of Charmy is we've actually made it like WordPress. In fact, I myself, I'm a Unity 3D developer. I was part of the Unity Live Help team at Unity. And one of the things that I knew about was WordPress really revolutionized everything. You don't just have something inside of our galaxy. You have your own galaxy. And you can literally go to DigitalOcean today and just DigitalOcean, it's the Metaverse app. It's the only one that if you type in Metaverse right now, and you can set up your own server. It's yours. It's under your control. Even if Charmy was to be shut down or anything like that, and this what happened with some of the other big metaverse things was people worked so hard on building their galaxies, and then the company kind of shut it down. In this case, you own your own server, so you just whip it up, ready to go, and it's up and running, and you control what goes on inside of there. And because we're part of the whole blockchain ethos, we believe in that decentralization sort of mentality where it's yours, right? We can't really, do anything. So your opinion, your ideas, it's up to you. Great question here by Joshua. How many concurrent users? Right now, what we've done, and this was another challenge we see in a lot of our competitors at the time, was you can have a whole bunch of users, but inside of our system, we had a balance between users and quality of the visuals. And so in our systems, you can have in the free edition about 4 users at a time concurrently, and they can come in inside of VR or on PC Mac, which is very, very, incredible that you could do that just with a URL. And in the Pro edition, it can go up to 8 to 12 at a time. And the reason for that, some will actually do 50 or even 100. We kept ours based on trying to get that visual appeal to try and make sure that we can have that mix. So you have something that looks high quality and it doesn't look like, it's from the 2000s or early eras. And at the same time, something that is also functional. So you have that little mix. And it has to be cross-platform, which means it has to also work in VR at times. And you kind of have to think because each one is a different system. You could think of it kind of like the Apple OS system where, you've got an app that has to work on the iPad, it has to work on the iPhones, and, in some cases, Apple Watch. So we had to make sure that our system can work across and we focus that on polygons. And if you go into any plot here, for example, I'll just go to my Genesis plot here, and this is all web-based, as you can see. It's very, very powerful and it's instantaneous. It's powered by Unity 3D, instantaneous. I don't have to worry about recompiling anything or anything like that. I'm doing this live here right now. But we've got the total polygon count at the bottom. It shows you here, for example, 96,000 polys. So as long as you keep it under 200,000 polys, it'll work inside of VR very nicely. When you go a little bit higher, I mean, if you go into some more elaborate plots, like let's say a basketball court, you get into almost 1 million polygons inside of something like this here. And this here, it's a little bit harder to actually load up. It will work in an Oculus Quest 2 or Meta Quest 2. But then the challenge is, you're kind of waiting a little bit longer. And if it gets too high in polys, you start getting frame drops, and then people kind of get dizzy. So hopefully that answers that question there. And the next question is, how many people can you get in one instance? Yeah, that's about 8 to 12 at a time. Uh, in our beta test, we've done about 25 to 35, but then once again, the actual quality of the world is reduced heavily. And so that's the kind of like little balancing game. I mean, if you really want to have something nice, like I think over here, this one here is what is this? No, this is uh plot here. Let's say a nice little New York City loft sort of idea, right? So let me see if I can get over here. There we go. Something like this here, you have to keep it small. You have to keep it, minimal, but you get some like really nice experiences that you can have. And if you want to, do visual ideas, you can actually go right into uh, using different what we call camera tricks or 3D tricks, such as having a nice skybox. This one here, for example, it's Dubai, right? And you have a beautiful skybox that comes in. This is for a real estate example, and it's loading it up here. But I mean, you can actually see, showcasing a new build that was actually just blueprints, but now, you kind of get to see what it's like. And the nice thing is, I mean, I could just literally click here and share this link, and then everyone could come right in if you wanted to live. I mean, if anyone wants to come in right now as I'm here and we're doing this here, people can come in together at the same time. You don't have to worry about the multiplayer or anything like that. It's already coded, ready to go, nice and fast. Um, Carlos, you had a question, so go ahead, please ask. I'll
Yeah,
let you. Mhm.
good. Good morning, everybody. Good to see you all. I'm in Austin, Texas, and I guess a lot of my questions are already posted on the chat there. You want to
Okay.
lose? I guess. Let me see. Ready Player Me avatars. It looks like.
Yes, it is Ready Player Me avatars. We have those
Right.
built right in. We are planning to bring additional avatars into the system as well. And this goes into the area of people who wanted to do things which are outside of, the system. And we're all about openness. People getting into the adult market or getting into things like casinos and stuff like that. Well, the challenge is you can't do that with the Ready Player Me avatars. So we're looking at bringing in a different set of avatar systems, also looking at offline systems where you can have an intranet and actually have this entire system running with no internet. And just as long as you have computers connected, that's the thing. And as you can see, someone else has come in. Come on in. Hello, hello, welcome. Right. So it's really cool. And it's all working. I can come in VR as well. But the idea here is that we want to make it as decentralized as possible, giving you as much power, because we truly believe that if everyone started setting up their own galaxies, one day we'd have 1 million of these, 2 million, 3 million. Everyone has their own stuff, just like WordPress. And that's what really revolutionized the internet, in my opinion, was you could create anything you want. We want to give you the voice as well. You build whatever you want. Our goal is to bring the technology. Your goal is to build anything. Your opinions doesn't matter. It has to be separate, and that's what decentralization is all about. I can't control you, and that's the beauty of having an open market. Our system actually is both Web 2, Web 3. We're actually in the works right now where you will actually be able to gate plots with a Solana wallet. So basically, as long as you have a token, and this could be any token, as long as you're a token creator, for example, you've got the token address, then you can actually lock a plot and it will actually detect it. We're using that in another project of ours called Angel of the Raina, for example, where you can actually go inside of here, token holders, and it'll check your wallet, and you basically connect your wallet. And if you've got the token, it will check your address, wallet address, and then it'll say, okay, here you go, and it'll unlock the actual plot of land. We're going to be putting this functionality in as well inside of Chaarmi. So it's really, really powerful. And like I said, like WordPress, as you create a page in WordPress, you create plots of land inside of here. And for sharing, right now, what we've got is QR codes for your actual wallet. So for example, let's say I actually go into one of these plots. Let's say I'm inside of Genesis. We call it Genesis because of the whole blockchain stuff there. So let's say I log into this here, right? And it could be a payment link for Stripe, for example, or it can literally be a wallet address. Give me 1 second. Let me just stop the share for a sec. I'll get a wallet address here that I can actually copy here for you, so you guys can see this here. And it's really powerful that we can actually do this here. So I'm going to do that there. Can you guys see my share screen right now? There we go. All right. So for example, let's say I just come in here as Mr. Metaverse. Sure. Okay. And I enter as a guest. And you can choose any avatar that you want, of course, for those of you who want to use Ready Player Me. But yeah, so once I'm inside of a plot live, and oh yeah, you can use microphones as well. That's a different thing there. So let's say, for example, I want to share with you something, and whoever has a phone, you can use a phone right now. If you have a Solana wallet, that is. I literally just choose the code here. For example, it's this is my wallet address here, and then I can share that. It's ready to go. And this can be done across different users. So imagine a virtual shopping experience. It's a live shopping experience. You've got your actual customer service rep there saying, okay, please pay us with Solana or, some Ethereum. Probably not Bitcoin because nobody wants to spend Bitcoin, but that's the whole entire idea. But this could also be a regular URL. Hey, come check out our website. And you can even have an NPC inside of there, for example, like a virtual bot that could be doing that as well. Not with a QR code, but just like, just having messages there and have them send their.
Hi, everyone. My name is Mike. I work at a company called Precision OS, and we develop surgical education in virtual reality. I'm going to go through some product stuff today, talk about some of the pitfalls, challenges of educating in virtual reality, and yeah, excited to share this with a group of educators. So without further ado, the objective of our company is to really give healthcare practitioners and providers an excellent place to learn that is safe, ethical, and accessible. I don't know how familiar a lot of you are with the world of training to become a surgeon, but it's kind of odd. When you start out and you're a young trainee, you don't actually do a lot of surgery. You stand around watching other people do it. And I think we could probably all agree that's not a great way to learn. So what we want to provide is a space for these younger trainees to really get their hands working and get used to flying the plane before they actually take over, so to speak. So I'm just going to show some video. I'll narrate over. I'll talk about the platform, the educational aspects, and then I'll close off with some of the pitfalls and challenges we've had that hopefully can stem some discussion that maybe will enlighten us or everyone present today with some answers. So I'm going to be showing some video of virtual reality surgery. So there's no blood. Hopefully it's accessible to you. You're not upset by seeing it, but just be warned, there is some virtual surgery that will be played. So in our platform, we've developed a virtual environment that has a patient, which you can access and visualize in ways that go beyond what you can do in reality. So you see I have a patient here, their leg is exposed. We can take x-rays during surgery. We can reposition the limb as needed. And for a trainee who's getting used to these surgical skills, this is vital. This is amazing for them to be able to do on a not real patient to practice in a space that they can't screw up or harm anyone. They can take as many x-rays as they need to start understanding visual spatial skills. They can reposition instruments and move about the space to their heart's content. They can take as long as they want without wasting time of other healthcare professionals that are essentially trying to earn a living in their career by spending extra time and going through repetitions of these sort of surgical training experiences in virtual reality. Now, this is one of our products. The other product that I really want to talk about is more related to anatomy. So this was just released on the MetaQuest store. It's called Bodyworks, and it's an anatomy studio. What I mean by that is we have a virtual patient that you can pick apart, visualize anatomy, and explore the human body in a way that really elevates the educational experience. The entire body is existing in this virtual space, and a user can use a whole bunch of different instruments and tools to highlight in detail different components that are relevant to what they need to teach. The reason that we call this a studio is because there's actually a built-in recording feature as well. So at the press of a button, you can get videos like I'm showing right now, sent directly to you via email, so that you can post it up as content if you're a content creator. You can also create videos for your patients. So the idea of maybe you're going to a physiotherapist, you've got a hurt shoulder. Your physiotherapist could record a video showing all of the anatomy of the shoulder that they think might be causing you problems, giving you as a patient the sort of empowered feeling that you better understand what's wrong with you and why they're recommending certain motions and movements to rehab you. There's a ton of visual fidelity we can build in here that's just not possible in real life. So we can show structures below the tissues that it would be impossible to dissect a cadaver to show it in the same way. But it's these sort of tools and instruments that really provide a great educational platform that people can then use and learn from. There's a whole slew of other feature sets and cool stuff that we've built in here, but one of the most impactful pieces is our collaboration concept, where you can get up to 13 other people into this virtual space together to train and educate and learn as a group. And so that really builds this into more of a platform that you can use to both train yourself and others around anatomy and anything related to the human body. Because it's virtual reality as well, we can kind of spice it up a bit. We can blow up structures. So not only do we have a life-size patient, but we've got our Zoom 2 feature, which allows you to zoom into bigger versions of the same structures to really see them in huge amount of detail. So this shoulder is 3 times life size, which I'm sure those of you who are familiar with virtual reality is a really impactful thing to be able to do, to just expand something and make it much bigger than life. So this is some of the feature set that we've built in. You can toggle layers of anatomy on and off, sort of the sky's the limit. And what we want to see people do is create organic content around this, focused on what they need to teach others and learn and share amongst the community. So to not hold up the group too much more, I'm going to move on to my next slide here, which is our challenges. So with this being an education platform, we need to present a lot of text at times, which is the classical way that you talk about a surgery. So going through the steps of a surgery, we want to present that information to the users, and we need to provide a lot of information. And text is the way to do it right now. So that's one of our challenges, is overcoming that hurdle. We also want to make sure that we're building spaces that aren't overwhelming. I'm sure the vast majority of you have been in a virtual reality experience where there's too much to take in at once, and you end up getting cognitive overload and not a lot sticks. So we want to make sure that we are speaking to them in an educational frame. We also need to guide and balance the amount of learning that we give to a student versus hand-holding. So if we tell people exactly what they need to do, they're not going to make the mistakes that they need to in order to really understand why positioning an instrument on the patient in such a way is inappropriate or incorrect in the surgery. And lastly, there's a lot of not tech-savvy surgeons out there that we need to upskill quickly to get them using this virtual reality headset, getting comfortable in the metaverse in general, and getting the most out of the education without getting confused, overwhelmed, or unhappy with the virtual experience.
Hello, everybody. I'm Dylan Fox. I'm here to talk about XR accessibility, how we can make extended reality inclusive for everyone. I'm the Director of Operations for XR Access, and you can reach me at dylan@xraccess.org. And we're going to talk today, just very briefly, since I know we only have a few minutes, a little bit about XR Access itself, a little bit about what accessibility means and why it's important, and then some principles of accessibility and how they're applied in XR. So first of all, the XR Access Initiative. So we are a community committed to making virtual, augmented, and mixed reality accessible to disabled people. We're also a research initiative at Cornell Tech that does research on the exact same. Now, onto the actual content. What is XR accessibility and why does it matter? Now, because we're in the Metaverse Standards Forum, I'm going to assume most of you are probably familiar with the terms virtual, augmented, and mixed reality. So I think we can kind of brush past those. But I do want to take a minute to define accessibility. Accessibility means that something is usable regardless of ability. And the key thing to think about it when it comes to ability is that a lot of people think about, when they think about disabilities, they just think about permanent disabilities, right? People who may only have one arm or who always use a wheelchair or permanently blind or deaf. And that is definitely a subset of people worth caring about. But the truth is that accessibility goes much beyond that, right? Because the things that benefit somebody who has one arm, for example, also benefit somebody who has one arm occupied, you know, a new parent, or if you ever wanted to drink a beer and do XR at the same time, those same features are going to benefit you as well. And so keep in mind as we talk through the rest of this presentation that when we talk about accessibility, it's not just for some kind of charity case, small percentage of the population. Accessibility is for you. It's for me, it's for all of us. There's a quote from Cindy Lee that we are all just temporarily abled, right? And whether that is, you know, things that we do every day in terms of having our hands and our eyes occupied while we're doing the dishes or driving the car, or the fact that we all tend to lose our abilities as we get older. Don't ever make the mistake of thinking that accessibility is not for you. On a similar note, I've got two additional reasons why we should care about accessibility. The first is this idea of the curb cut effect. And as in the example I just mentioned, curb cuts are the little ramps that go from the sidewalk down to the street. And what we found is that those were put in for people with wheelchairs after much kind of protests and demonstrations and the whole disability civil rights movement. But it turns out they're useful for a lot of people, right? They're useful with dollies or bicycles or strollers. And in a similar way, when we, thinking about XR, let's say you have somebody who can't, can you see the video right now? Yes. This is from Half-Life Alyx. And the idea here is that if you are somebody who can't lean over to pick something up off the floor, you need a different solution, right? And maybe that solution is gravity gloves that let you flick objects to your wrist from across the room. Now that's going to be really useful for somebody with a disability, and it's also going to make everybody else feel like a Jedi and be way cooler than kind of stumbling around your room and trying to pick things up off the bottom. So something that is created for folks with a disability benefits everybody. I'll also mention that accessibility is also key to unlocking new capabilities, because when you make something accessible to people, you're also making it accessible to machine intelligence and APIs. So for example, with AltSpace, may it rest in peace, Microsoft put a lot of effort into enabling captions, which you may think if you have your hearing, oh, maybe that's not that useful. But it is useful for a lot of people. And what's more, having captions let them be one API call away from having real-time translation. So all of that effort they put into captions was really just investing in their own infrastructure in order to enable all these new capabilities. I know we're running low on time here, so I'll just say when it comes to accessible design, there's really two principles that you need to keep in mind. One is the idea of modularity, that you don't want to bottleneck your users. There shouldn't be anything where if your users can't see or can't hear or can't touch, then they're locked out of using your application. And similarly, if your users can only interact using certain outputs, right, like touch or keyboard or voice, they should be able to customize the experience to suit whatever inputs and outputs they prefer. And if you could do that, you're going to have an extremely flexible, modular, powerful, and accessible application. And finally, I'll just say, make sure you take into account nothing about us without us. If you have not tested your application with people with disabilities, with people with lived experience, you cannot claim it's accessible and be taken any kind of seriously, because it's absolutely vital to have that experience on hand and make sure that when the rubber really hits the road, when you actually put things into people's hands, that they can use it and use it well. So I will go ahead and pause there. I'll put these links in the chat. I definitely welcome anybody to come by, check us out. We have our website, our Slack as well, our research network, lots of ways to get in touch. And yeah, wanted to thank Priscilla again for inviting me, and thank you all for listening.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me here. I love the trend calling our products WordPress for VR. If the closest one that maybe I can explain what we're building is very close to WordPress. We're building open source Unity framework for virtual reality applications. So in terms of education, the benefits for education, it's of course cost-effective development. It's free, it's open source, it's very time efficient because you can create a standalone virtual reality application in literally one day. And then of course it will take a long time to replace the environment with your own. you will have a complete ownership of the applications. Very quick results. I know a lot of students, they are very impatient, but with our framework, they can quickly see the results, whether they went testing on a PC or they can deploy it to MetaQuest pretty quickly. And also complete freedom to create. There is no firewall. There is nothing that will prevent you from using any type of code. It's all completely built on Unity. And also content is safeguarded from shutdowns. We all were hurt, as I was as a 3D artist. A lot of time my worlds were shut down with Altspace and other places. So lots of use cases. There's a very, very small amount of things that you can create. Studio portfolio development. You can also, your educators in classroom can create their own apps. If they, for example, want to insert a certain scenario that they want to go through with the students, or they want to go on a field trip in VR, it's very customizable. It's very flexible system as well. The requirements, it's not an easy drag and drop, and we don't promise it to be. You have to know what you're doing. It's built on Unity, and preferably that you know 3D modeling, some C# programming skills for advanced developers, even though we provide all of the necessary code base that you would need. You can reuse the code, or you can also create your own scripts. And of course, you need full environment set up with Quest Link, Android Studio, etc. And we're going to be running a lot of workshops to help you set it up. And of course, we do require high performance computer with graphics card. So let's see what's inside. So the way it works, it's just a Unity package that will be available on GitHub. And right now we have an example app on MetaQuest. It's available for you to use it. We have login panel, which you can log in with the name or anonymously. We do have 360 video. Here is a home scene where you can select several avatars. And fun fact, I know you guys, some of you miss Altspace, and I took a liberty to copy some of Altspace spaces. I photoshopped them on our avatar. It's just a basic package. And of course, it will be possible to integrate Ready Player Me or MetaQuest avatar system. We have a main UI, which has several layouts, one horizontal, one vertical, and we have 7 example scenes. You can take them, you can copy them and replace them with your own environments. The dark scene, we have a material environment scene, we have bright space. It's also a great starting point. So feel free to use any of those environments. They all come in this Unity package. Another thing that we have is a game room. So game room we took from XR Interaction Toolkit. However, we took a lot of customization in here, especially when it comes to integrating multiplayer. And as Dylan mentioned about accessibility, I was smiling because we did do a testing session here with a group of people, and one of them was in wheelchair, and we disabled distant grab before, and he said, I can't reach because I'm in wheelchair. So what we did, we put a new screen and we enabled distant grab. So now users can choose if they want to do a Jedi pull in the item, or they want a close grab. So it's all in our new settings UI that we're going to be releasing next week. So yeah, a couple of games. Again, if students want to build escape room, for example, they can grab all of these items that we already have set up in multiplayer. Another thing that I am a geospatial enthusiast. I have a background in tourism and hospitality, and my main app that I'm building called VR Travel Expo. And this is what kind of inspired me. I added Cesium, I added Google Tiles, and it also comes in the package. We did a lot of fixing to make it work with the XR Interaction Toolkit, a lot of custom code here. We also included moon terrain. Again, you know, if students interested in space. And there's a little bit of background on the background architecture. We created a very complex cloud delivery. So the whole app will be very small. It only will include 3 scenes. The login, home scene, and addressable scene. So addressable scene is going to be empty scene where everything else will be loaded on top of it. We're going to be also explaining how to build your own buckets as addressable bundles. It's very easy. This you can see that we're drag and drop your scenes into the remote area, and those scenes are going to be built as the remote buckets. So we're going to show you how you can replace those with your own cloud service. which we'll also be offering possibly cloud storage as well. Here you can see that we have, this is connected to UI. You can add as many scenes as possible. You can have 100 or 200, whatever you want. There is no limit on the environments. So another thing is, as I said, this is our new setting UI where we added distant grab and spatial audio, so you can switch between 2D, 3D, mute, sit down, stand up. And it's all open source. And we have 20 concurrent users right now, but we're going to be switching to 100 with Photon. And we do host a lot of different testing sessions throughout the month.
Thanks all for joining this session. So this is Dr. Magesh from Wipro. I'm a distinguished member of technical staff in Wipro. And this topic is about how to develop experience-based solutions for special kids using the Metaverse platform. We can use Metaverse as a platform which provides a kind of immersive experience to the kids, and it helps people to learn faster, and it also helps them to get into the world with a personal experience. Metaverse is a combination of multiple things. You can have a virtual reality kind of solution, which will give you an immersive experience for people to get into a virtual world. And it can also get into a augmented reality where you can have physical solutions, physical devices plus virtual devices coming, digital devices coming together. For example, HoloLens or Snapchat kind of thing. Then you have a mixed reality which combines both, which combines physical and digital objects, and it will create a kind of imaginary world for people to get into. So it will be like, for example, virtual makeup, virtual shopping kind of experiences. And finally, meta reality, which is having multiple IoT kind of sensors and devices combining together with various new age technology, which is called combinational technology. So all bringing together, you get into the metaverse world. So as I used to mention, digital, which is physical and digital, combining together in the metaverse world, which brings three important principles: instant, connected, and engaging, which means you need to create an experience to the user, which is instantaneous, and you should get a connected feel to the customer so that they will really immerse themselves into the virtual world, and you should engage the user in such a way that they have to really feel that you are in the virtual world. They are basically engaged through accessible learning. So we have to make them feel that the learning is going to their own world, and we have to create a kind of virtual environment for the kids so that they can really get immersed themselves, understand how we have developed small utilities and tools and facilities in their learning mechanism, and then learn through that experience. So I have put a simple component view based on our experience, how we can have a metaverse platform having special education for kids with kind of learning disabilities, how we can develop kind of solutions for them. So three important things that you have to consider: a collaboration tool where the kids should get immersed to the system, and then they have to use the facility and develop something which can be experiential learning for them. Second is socializing user in interaction. So we have to understand how they are interacting with the system. So we have to bring in a kind of socializing this kind of experience to them so that they can understand that virtual devices will really help them. The third thing is creating digital avatar, which is mainly to make the users or the special kids to feel like they are into a world where they can interact with someone very closely. So they can make friendship with their educational material by itself through digital avatars. These three are important components for special education. Other services could be something normal for any metaverse solution in learning and development. So we have to consider three important technology area. One is immersive technology area, which is basically for a user-based simulated environment. Second is haptic technology, where touch and sense will help the user to get into the virtual world. So that's the second thing. Third is the spatial area, where you have to create a mapping and modeling solution for the users or for the special kids to feel that as though they are learning something from that system. So instead of theoretically teaching them mathematics or English alphabets, if we help them to create a kind of digital avatar or a story kind of solution where they can really touch, feel, sense, and try something to learn from them, it will be much useful for building a solution for this kind of special kids. So that's the ultimate solution that we'll be looking for. So if we have this kind of virtual world, story-based learning, avatar-based learning, digital avatar-based learning, and personalized experience, that's very important. Obviously, there are drawbacks in this kind of solutions. One, it is more tech-savvy. So a lot of technical experience is needed to make the system to work. Second is cost. So obviously, it is not so cheap since we have to create facilities with the physical infrastructure, with the physical equipments. It is not cheaper. So cost is an important matter. So it cannot be affordable for the third developing nations, or it cannot be so affordable for the low-income people. So that's an important drawback. And above all, privacy concerns could be there. So when you are making the special kids to get into the virtual world, how they react, how they speak, what they express, what they share, there is no control in that. So the privacy concern is an important thing. So how to secure the data, how to secure the privacy of that information without getting into security concerns or a kind of a security breaches in these areas, right? So these are all important drawbacks in using this kind of systems. So with that, I'm ending this session. If you have any questions, I will answer you. You can put it in the chat as usual.
I work with neurodiverse students at University of Cincinnati, where I reside. Do you have any example of the content you have created so that we could have the people, the directors of this program kind of evaluate it and see if it's appropriate for their students?
Sure. I have the framework that I have created. So the real equipment-based services is not yet developed, so it's still in theory, as I could say directly. So, but I have the framework and I have the services that needs to be there to develop this kind of solution. I can share that to you.
Yeah, I was just say first, thank you all for your presentations. I was wondering, so coming over from the kind of accessibility standard space, I know that a lot of educational facilities, especially in the United States, have some strict requirements when it comes to accessibility. One of the things that we're still very much trying to explore is how to define those for XR. And so I'm curious for anybody here kind of working in the XR educational space, what types of requirements have you come across and what has been helpful in trying to kind of navigate that?
Yeah, so we connected with academia people, particularly to research around this, to understand how we can develop solutions around this. What we have observed is two important things. One, the kind of equipments and infrastructure required cannot be uniform across all the kind of special kits. So there are a lot of variants needed, at least 10, 12 different variants needed for different kind of special kits. So you cannot globalize the solution for all kind of accessibility issues or people with accessibility issues. So that way, I think the software, the Metaverse solution should have a facility to adapt to this kind of facilities as well. So that's an important thing that we have noticed based on our experience. And second thing is the adaptation time required to make the system to work for the special kits used to be a little bit longer, maybe over a period of time when this has been experienced with various people, maybe the system should get into a way to adopt by itself automatically based on the gesture, based on the usage, the initial usage of the special kits, and based on that it can customize by itself. Maybe it could work, but for now what I have seen is the adaptation time is a little bit longer, which is an important concern for accessibility related solutions for special kits.